started.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Queen City 15's interview with Lisa Winica and Suprina. It'd be great if everybody could mute themselves so that we don't have audio feedback. If you're not already muted, that would be great. I'll give you a minute to do that. And I guess we'll go ahead and get started. So Paula is going to be our visual DJ, and I will call for images as we move through this. But I want to thank you for joining us. This is going to be a 30 to 40 minute artist talk. And most of you probably know Suprina and Lisa.
Bad day. That's what it is.
But just in case you don't, you need to mute, Mary.
Yes, I know that.
Oh,
I'm muting.
there we go. Bye. So most of you probably know Suprina and Lisa, but in case you don't, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about them. And we're going to take a look at their individual works of theirs and learn how they collaborated on this project. Now, throughout this little artist talk, you're welcome to post pictures, and we might take welcome to pose questions, and we might take some of them during the body of the presentation. But if not, towards the end, we're going to show you a 4-minute time-lapse video that's going to take us through the installation going up. And during that time would be a great time for us to answer most of your questions. So, but don't be shy to post a question in the in-between times, because I'll try to get to them as we go through it if I can. Suprina, where are you? I don't see you up. Say hi, Suprina.
I'm here.
There she is. Okay. Suprina is a sculptor and a mixed media artist with a background in prop making, who for many years has focused her practice on environment, political, and social issues, repurposing found objects and built structures. Suprina is very well known for collecting all kinds of stuff from all of us. And I'm sure that many of the people on this call have contributed to her booty. Lisa Winica is a painter, sculptor, poet, and mixed media artist, who's also happens to be a registered nurse, a massage therapist, an interfaith minister, and a master gardener. And her work organically moves from one medium to the next, but is always with some overtone kind of otherworldly, whether we're talking about an historic point of view or a futuristic point of view, that in many ways is a meditation on the now. So Lisa and Suprina met through Queen City 15 and did their first collaboration in August of 2019 on a show called Elementals. So I'd like to ask you two to tell us a little bit about how you met, how you decided to collaborate together, and what that show was all about.
Lisa,
Take it away.
you want to start, Lee, or you want me to start? You want me to start? Okay. Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming. It's much appreciated. We both really feel the heart of your support, so thank you. Yeah, it's an honor. Anyway, so Elementals, it was a fun thing because Lisa and I were the only sculptors at Queen City as members, and we both sculpted with found objects. So it was a natural to just say, hey, let's do a feature together. And neither of us have collaborated before. And I think it was successful because we both just jumped in with both feet. And I think we're both do that on this new piece also, and it helps. We're both really hard workers, willing to do almost anything for the project. And so we were just jumped in, hoping that it would work out, and it did. So in 2019, we both did separate art pieces. Actually, that's the way we work. We both do separate art pieces, and then we put the art pieces together. We don't actually work on one sculpture together or one piece together. We haven't done that. So, and we talk about the theme, and then she goes into her studio and does her thing, and I do my thing, and then we meet at the gallery.
But there was one area in that show where you put something together. Let's take a look at that. So this is both you and Lisa, and it's the back wall of the gallery. And Lisa, tell us who's there. And Suprina, tell us where that gnome is.
So that's the gnome Lisa, I call her. And she is a combination of a number of people that I know. My friend Bernadette, and the hands are and the feet are my mother's, and I sculpted the face. And you know, she came together to be this little gnome. And Sabrina arranged this forest of, and I believe this is the first time she's ever done this, that she's arranged a forest in this way.
Yes.
I thought it was such a success. We placed the gnome. She worked on it for a few hours, arranging the forest, and she came and got me and said, well, what do you think? And I looked and I said, oh, it's perfect. And it was such a delight. And we talked then about doing some larger installations. So this has really been a dream. It's a couple of years old, and I'm so delighted with the results.
So I think this really illustrates how your current concept got started. But Sabrina or Lisa, either one, tell us big picture, the name of the show, the mission, the sub theme, what you're trying to do, and then we're going to take a look at our performance by Sabrina. But give us some background on the show itself.
So after we did that piece together, and it was titled Faux Forest with Gnome, I thought, oh my God, I want to do a lot. I want to make a faux forest as large as a gallery room, huge, you know. So I started working on that, and a year and a half went by, and Lisa approached me in the fall and said, "You want to collaborate again?" I said, "Yeah," and we both jumped in again. I think I might have said, "Let's make a really big forest out of," and she was like, "Yeah, okay, let's do that." And then we just talked about what parts I would do with the buckets. They're all filled with gravel. There's no glue or anything in those buckets. It's just friction and gravity that are holding the pieces in place. And she talked about doing the cantomblés, which are nature spirits. And so we both thought that worked. That would work really well together. And we both went home again and started to work our little asses off.
And you call the piece, the installation itself, We Are the Forest.
Yeah.
And there's a subplot line or a sub theme line.
Yes.
And let's see if I'm going to get it correct. It's
okay, I'll say it's magical, romantic, and catastrophic. And I
tell
think
us what that means to you.
both Lisa's pieces and mine, but very much more Lisa's, are magical and romantic. And but they're made out of materials that are from a catastrophic usage in our world. I mean, that's what it is for me, you know. And I think that found objects can be really gorgeous and really beautiful. Our throwaways can be really beautiful, but we have to remember the what we suffer from them. So, Lisa, what do you think?
Should we go ahead and take a look at the performance piece?
Let's look at your performance.
Yeah, I think Sabrina stepped out of her comfort zone and created a first ever video performance piece, which is called The Plantings. And it's posted on YouTube right now. We can get the address later. And let's sit back and follow Sabrina down Main Street, Poughkeepsie, and into the gallery.
Thank you. The sound's not on. Can people hear it?
I'm not hearing sound.
I don't hear any sound.
I don't hear any
When
sound.
when you share your screen, you have to click a little box that says share audio also.
Should we read back from the top, Paula? Here we go. Here we go.
That's good.
Thank you. Turn up your volumes, people. I speak very lowly. Low.
Sabrina, you walk as though you're carrying a great lot of weight.
Well, the cart's broken. Oh, me, I know.
No, I mean conceptually.
Oh, thank you. Well, this, the video's not running properly, really, but it talks.
People look at me like they don't know me. But I am them. And they are me. We are the caretakers. We are the destroyers. We are the other. The trees remember. Though I've been told that trees don't have any consciousness, I don't believe it. Maybe it's just their consciousness that we don't understand. I think they see everything. I think they bear witness. We perceive the world around us through our five senses: our ears, nose, our eyes, mouth, and our skin. And maybe a couple of other senses too. Have our senses dulled? Our visceral need to consume more and more comes at a great cost. These objects threaten our very survival on Earth as we know it. We are the caretakers. We are the destroyers. We are the other. If we could take a little more time to be present, maybe we could change our trajectory. Our history is recorded in these objects we create. Though they are matter of the universe, the forms they take here on this planet speak volumes of who we are. And what our challenges are. What we feed grows, and what we don't, who knows? Global portraiture. The natural world watches. It absorbs what we do, create, and tear down. We look and we hear. But do we see and listen? Where do we fit in? It's almost like we were drop-shipped onto this planet. Though I know better. Anything could take us down. The dinosaurs were taken down from an asteroid shower. With our dominance comes grave responsibility. Are we dominant? How ironic would it be if we were taken out by our own doing? Global suicide. We have the largest brains. At times, it seems like just another waste.
Bravo, Sabrina. Bravo. It's really terrific.
I have to apologize. The entire movie was out of sync. Probably some people have seen it on YouTube, who knows. I hope you guys will view it on YouTube, where you'll get a better shot of that. It goes much more smoothly on the YouTube channel, and I'm sorry that I put you through that. But thank you.
I wouldn't worry about it. I have a question for you, Sabrina.
Yeah.
How did it feel making that piece?
It was completely humbling to take on doing a performance piece, I have to say, because I'm used to being able to create anything I want in my head. You know, I've been sculpting and doing creations for decades. And so if I think of something, I think I can make it. And this was a huge challenge, but I had an amazing time. It was super exciting at the same time. I'm kind of comfortable out on a limb, so it's okay with me, really. And it's actually okay if I fail. And I told David Henningsen, who's the one who made this happen, really, if he didn't shoot it, it wouldn't have happened. I told him, if this doesn't come out, I'm just going to tell everybody, well, you know, I tried and I'm going to try again. But I'm okay with that. And it was a huge learning curve, and I'll definitely do another one.
Well, bravo. One of the comments you got here was bravo, courageous, always stretching, always growing. From a woman named Leah Polar. And another comment here, congratulations to the wonderful and magical show. So I think you're off to something good. So congratulations, Sabrina. I think for me, the weight that you were carrying in the long walk down Main Street was very symbolic, because I know those bags are also featherweight, but you walked as though you were carrying hundreds and hundreds of pounds on your back. I thought that was very successful.
Thank you. I would like to say, anybody wants to put in some constructive criticism, or they can email me directly. I'm totally into learning from what I did. And I guess that's it. It was really fun to do. I had a great time. And thank you, David Henningsen. I think you're here. And just everyone else that helped with the project. It's just super, super. And Lisa, I hope you like the end where I put in your guy there and talk about how he might be the one who's dominant rather than me.
Well, you're getting good comments. So now we're going to move. Lisa Winneke in this show introduces us to a set of characters that I'm going to try to pronounce correctly. They are Contumbles. And before we meet the Contumbles, I want Lisa to tell us about Contumbles, who they are, where they're from, how you know them, and what your connection is.
Okay, so Contumble is a word that is used in West Africa to describe the little people who care for nature. They're described in every culture. So they might be called leprechauns or elves or gnomes or something else. But Contumble was the word that I found most charming and I connected with most. When I was a child, I would see the Contumble. I don't see them any longer. But so the idea of the Contumble in this show is that nature has to adapt to what we leave behind. My friend Jerry said there's no garbage and there's no away. And that concept that there's no away is really interesting, because whatever we do with the plastic or any other garbage, it has to be integrated somehow into nature. And so these beings represent that integration. So they're made from both discarded items and from natural objects like bones. This little guy here, his legs are made of bones. He has part of a deer spine there, and his arms are made of bones. You know, so it was a combination representing that integration and the adaptation that nature has to make.
And do these two have names?
The deer, she's Matilda, and the other fella is Angus, and the names are really just random, just things that charmed me.
Now, I think our next image is of Matilda and Angus go to the show. There we go.
Yeah, so I included this picture because I think it was really interesting how we had to take these works of art that I made individually and then put them into the installation. And so there was some discussion about how maybe we would raise them up. So in this situation, there's a laundry basket under there, and all of these pieces of garbage that I collected over a month are stapled together to make it look like he's on a pile of garbage. So it was really interesting to come up with a way to serve the individual piece of art, as well as but making the primary purpose, the primary, the most important thing was the installation and the atmosphere we created in the installation. So that was a really interesting balance to work with.
I think our next character has another great name, Iboka, Grieving the Tree.
No, this one is Maury.
Maury. Oh, sorry.
That's Maury. Well, this is Maury because you see he has his skulls. There's a mirror there, some kind of little car mirror, and the skulls are looking into the mirror. And as you look into the mirror, you see your reflection and you see the skulls. And he has this posture that's a little bit like the goddess Kali. You know, he's sticking out his tongues, his arms are taunting, and it's really, I call him Mori because it's a memento mori. In other words, something that you would meditate on that would remind you of your own mortality.
And what does the word Mori, M-O-R-I, mean? Is it's an object for meditation?
Memento mori, I think it means death.
Okay, now on to Iboka.
Ibaka, yeah.
Ibaka.
Yeah. So she's seems to be everybody's favorite. It was fun. This is a road near me where they've cut down a lot of trees, and my assistant Megan and I brought Ibaka down onto this stump to take her picture. And, you know, it seemed like she was really grieving this tree. You know, she's very soulful. Sometimes she seems like she's joyful. And in this case, she seems like she's grieving. But what was funny about this is somebody walked by while we were taking the photo, and she looked very grumpy. And she said, "You're not leaving that there, are you?" And we said, "No, why?" She said, "People dump so much stuff." So what was interesting was that it was a little bit ironic considering the theme of the show, but also I wonder what it was that she saw. Like, you know, we were kind of lovingly placing her there and taking her picture, and that she didn't see something interesting. She saw that somebody was dumping something. I thought was really interesting.
Well, she sounds like she was a little on edge about people who dump because it's everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, it's on everywhere. All right, let's meet Wanda and Mr. Blue Sky.
Yeah. So yeah, this is another, you know, choices made in the installation. It's another little pile of garbage she's on. I think there's a 5-gallon bucket under her. And so Sabrina was sometimes often very thoughtful about what she placed with what being. I think she put a lot of thought, like what would be appropriate to this being. And I thought that was a really interesting way to approach it. So this is just an example of how that kind of developed.
Thanks.
Okay, next we're going to take a look at, all right, here I'm going, friends, I'm going to try this again.
Wimple Remus.
Wimple Remus. And
Wim-
friend.
Yeah. And so the friend is something Sabrina brought in that was just going to be kind of in the forest, and they seem to go so well together. There's wire and the white, and that it just was something that really worked out, that I think they should live together forever henceforward.
And tell us his name again?
Wimple Remus.
Wimple
Again,
Remus.
Yeah.
Take phonetics. Okay, and let's take a look at the Tin Man.
Oh yeah, he's one of my favorites. So he is he's interesting because he looks a little bit like a murderer or something. I mean, he's really interesting because he does not seem very friendly. I happen to love him and feel very affectionately toward him. And each one of the beings that I created does have a very strong personality as far as I'm concerned. And it's something that I didn't try to develop, rather I let it come through me rather than creating it. So so I thought he was really interesting because he did end up looking a bit menacing.
Now tell us a little bit about this one. I see gutter elbows for
Yeah.
arms and legs. And then I'm not sure what his apron is made of. I see an oiling can.
So, okay, so his arm is, there's an oil can. I'm not sure what that other piece of hardware there is, but you know, I have a huge collection of rusty things. And so underneath all of this metal stuff on his body is a wine box. And there were pieces of metal, and they're from all over the world that I've picked up and collected. There's a little license plate from India on his side, and you know, a lot of things, and they're all kind of attached to this wine box. That's his body, and yeah.
And his head is
His head is
plaster?
paper mache. It's plaster. It was a plaster cast of one of my godchildren, his face, but I did sculpt it. My godchild does not look like this. And yeah, and then paper mache was added to you know, give him some more character, and he was painted. And this is one, I'm proud of him because I really made him sturdy. I have a hard time, there's there's a difficulty with assemblage art, is that things don't stay together. The glue fails, you know, there's an imbalance, things fall over, and I had a lot of heartbreak that way. But this one, I had the hardware and I had the glue, and I got it together well. So I'm pretty proud of him in terms of the engineering.
well, that's great. That's great. Okay, let's go back to live camera. Thank you, Lisa. Those are
Thank
a great set of contables for little
Contumble.
people.
Little people, you call them what you want, whatever word that you relate to would be what you could call them.
So now we're going to take you on a 4-minute installation through which is a great time to put more stuff up here. There's quite a bit in the chat, which I'm going to get to while we watch this installation. So I also just want to plug, before we go to that time lapse, that the exhibition is currently in the Hudson Valley News, reviewed by Linda Marson-Reed. And Chronogram also picked up imagery of Lisa's work. I believe it's Matilda and Angus that's in Chronogram, right? So
Yeah.
that is pretty fantastic. So check those out. And now let's take a look at the time-lapse video. And I'm going to start to get to some of this stuff on the chat while that's playing.
Yeah, definitely talk over this, you guys, or.
Oh, I
say
can't get to the
anything.
chat while that's playing because I can't see the chat while that's playing, but that's okay.
So I
other
guess
people-
if you want to say a question, you could do it you could take yourself off mute and
Yeah.
ask a question. So, but I'll just tell you, it took us like 5 days to set this up. first thing, we had a floor plan with a path laid out, which is what the plastic is, so that we could figure out how people would travel through the installation. With COVID, we had to think about COVID. We made the path extra wide for that reason. The next thing was to figure out what we were going to do with the walls, which is why we put up the windows, which was just a way to stop you from feeling like you were in a gallery with walls. We wanted to break that up. And then placing Lisa's piece so that they could be lit. And David Henningsen, again, was helped immensely with the lighting on this. So he came in and lit things for us, which eventually we wouldn't be able to get to. So the lighting had to be done pretty early on. As you can see, now we're starting to add the cans. The root sculpture that's in the top there, the landlord told me I couldn't hang it. So that's why in the final piece, it was on the wall instead. It was meant to be hung so that you would walk under it and feel as if you were under the roots of the tree and experience the tree that way. But it still
You know-
works on the wall.
What are the roots made out of?
There's a wood armature and an aluminum wire armature, and then a little very light plaster gauze. I was really conscious of keeping it light. And then a little paper with glue. And then what's on top, the final topping is plastic sheeting, mainly from my cats. Many of you know I rescue cats, so I go through a lot of dry cat food. And then most of the sheeting on that is from cat food containers or bags that people have, shopping bags, plastic shopping bags. And the point of that piece was that the trees bear witness to everything we do. And there's about 8 images inside that tree that talk about Chernobyl, talk about the floods that are going on, the fires that are going on, stuff like that. So as you can see, it's on the ground now, and then we put it up on the wall there.
Now, how much do you think you previewed in your mind what was this going to look like? And how much surprise and how much according to plan?
Well, once the figures were placed, Lisa will have to tell you what she feels about her end of that. But once the figures were placed, the only thing I knew is that I was going to be placing objects. And it just really is very intuitive at that point. I start around her figures. That's what I relate to, and then work from there. Though I am very conscious of when I have groups of objects like brooms or shovels or skis or there's a lot of golf clubs, because people, I guess, try golfing and then decide they don't like it and throw them away. So you see a lot of those. But I wanted them to simulate a forest in the sense of, the pine trees kind of stay together and the birch trees kind of stay together. So I kept the throwaways in their categories together throughout the forest.
Like little ecotones
Yeah.
in an ecology system.
Yeah.
It's
And then
great.
Lisa, talk about how you felt about placing your guys.
Well, I don't know if I have a lot to say because I got to do that first. So I didn't have to really work around anything. And, the thing about collaborating with somebody on a situation like this is that you really have to
That's it.
trust. And so in this case, I really trusted that the end result would be something good. I trust, it's not just an emotional trust, but I trust your talent and your aesthetic. And they're, they work well together. So I think that really let me relax with this and just, not really have a comment about where things went or, that was an interesting process, that trust and the letting go of that.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of mutual respect. I mean, Lisa brought in her figures. I never said, hey, you should change the eye, you should do that, make the foot different. And in the same sense, I just placed every can and she was good with it. So, and like I said, we both make our own art and then we bring the art together. And it's been a combination that has worked for us.
So I'm gonna jump to a couple of the things that are here in the chat. This one I think is gonna really excite you both. This is from Augusta Johnson, and it says, "That was really moving. I taught environmental science, and this was exactly what I tried to get across to my students."
Wow.
So how's that?
That's very cool because
That's very
we do want,
cool,
we see
right?
this as a teaching moment for sure. And we, would
Right.
like- yeah, I think Nancy's gonna talk about that.
And Frank Pelea says, "I think the whole install looked more sumptuous, especially the soft lighting in the forest. Bravo, Sabrina." And very powerful images and emotions about the environment. Do these resemble the little people that you used to see? That's a good question. Do these, is this what you saw in your childhood?
Well, actually, I think what most people see is something out of the corner of their eye. So when I was a child, I would see little people out of the corner of my eye, never directly. I think there are places where people feel like they have much more direct contact, but that's not part of my experience.
But you felt like they were there in the world and they became real to you at a young age.
I'm certain they're in the world now. Yeah.
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 Let's see. Great. These videos are not yet on YouTube. They will be loaded after the presentation ends. So
That's not completely true. I'm sorry.
yeah. Tell us about that.
The plantings is loaded on my personal YouTube station, which is Sabrina Kenny, Kenney. The plantings. If you Google, get into YouTube and then search for Sabrina Kenny / or something, the plantings, it'll come up because I loaded that up today. But the time lapse is not loaded onto YouTube. And what Paola meant is it's not loaded onto the Queen City YouTube yet.
Well, no. It says you can find the YouTube link from queencity.com website. So, okay, I think that we are at a point where we can wrap. But before we wrap, Sabrina was telling me that this whole exhibit was, it was partially funded by the debt grants. Maybe you want to say something about that, Sabrina?
The decentralization grants, yeah, I got some money as an individual artist for this project. So I want to thank everybody, the state, Linda Marston Reed, and the Artsman Hudson, and whoever it was that was on the jury that decided that this was worth funding. So
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, you told me that that you both have great hopes that this will be a traveling exhibition, particularly from an educational slant, not unlike the environmental science teacher. So clearly got the message that seems like a golden ring kind of situation. So tell us a little bit about your envision for how this might travel, what you have to do to make that happen, etc.
Apply for other installations at different places, which I've been doing, and I would like to see this grow. I think the larger this forest gets, the more impactful that will be. People really will start feeling like, oh my God. I mean, what's in this forest, which is about 34 feet by 18 feet, is infinitesimal amount of trash that we throw away. And most of it I got from my friends here in Poughkeepsie. Most of it, I have to say, I put out calls for stuff and people brought me all kinds of stuff.
So if you're planning this as a traveling exhibition, how does that impact how you'll pack up the show?
Well, all the objects come out of the buckets, because if they remained in the buckets, it would be impossible to pack that up. It would just take forever and there would be breakage. So I'm going to devise a way to make them match a bucket so I can kind of put each object back into a particular bucket, because right now everything was done with stones, which I love because there's no glue, there's no hardware, there's nothing holding anything together. But that won't be practical if we start actually really traveling with this.
Right. So you're going to have to codify your forest as you pack it.
Yes, exactly.
Here's a question. How did you convince the grantors before you had a show to present? Well, that's part of the process of the debt grants. You have to propose your idea and tell them where you're going to show the show. So that's part of the process of the way they write those grants. I don't know if you have anything more to offer on that, but
I would say one thing about grant writing. I've been very lucky with grants, and I think that the most important thing is that you have to believe in your project, and that you have to make them imagine. So your writing has to bring a visualization to them that they understand, and if it doesn't, you won't get the money. So that would be the first hurdle, I would say, as an artist. And a lot of artists, it's difficult to write. I know it was for me for a long time. I've gotten much better at it through the decades of having to do it. So.
well, thank you, Lisa, and thank you, Sabrina. For all of you here, and for all of you who have friends who you think might be interested in this project, please plug us at Queen City 15, 317 Main Street. Our summer hours are Friday 4 to 7, Saturday 1 to 7, Sunday 1 to 4. And we want all of you to come.
And wait, we have just extended this show through the month of May. So yeah, come.
Oh,
soon.
wow.
Yeah, come visit us. We'd love to see it. Also, Lisa and I have keys, so if you can't make those times, we have we have keys we can let you in.
So thank you very much, everybody. And I think that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Have a great
everyone.
night. And thanks so much for joining us.